Hey, folks, this is Rabble Rousing, Rich Bergeron.
Well, it is any minute ago. And Psychic Tom, this crystal ball unveiled.
And boy, did I pick a good day to quit sports betting.
Yeah.
The entire sports schedule as we know it has been at least postponed, if not totally canceled at this point. Coronavirus fever and panic is taking over. Not so much the disease itself, or whatever they call it, virus, scourge of humanity.
Some scum-sucking backwoods third world animal decides to eat an infected bat. It's like the AIDS epidemic from like 40 years ago because somebody had to go screw a monkey or something. I mean, what are people eating? Bat soup. Oh, so bat soup. Yeah, yep. Exactly. And Tom, I said this before you got on the air, and you know, sometimes you say things out of anger and some things out of frustration. I would like, if I could ever find this human being, to strangle the life out of him and watch his body dead on the ground. Because of this piece of shit eating a fucking contaminated bat and killing people now, my vacation's fucked. And I know that's on a small, you know, I'm only looking out for myself. You're damn right I'm looking out for myself. Because you're a piece of shit, I get fucked on it.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. I mean, why should you be inconvenienced about it? Why should anyone be inconvenienced about it? I mean, who knows? This thing may blow over quick, then again, who knows?
Right.
Who knows?
Yeah,
I'll say, it was funny. We came on the air, and I was talking to Rich. We were just small talking, you know, and we're talking about, you know, pressures. Now, my county right now, where I live, outside of Philadelphia, is on lockdown. When we went to those fights a couple years ago, you can't go. Like, they're shutting everything down. They're shutting events down. I mean, I'm just talking about sporting events. They're shutting concerts down. They're shutting everything down. They're shutting malls down. Like, my entire county is on, like, a lockdown right now. Now, last week, you know, I know you guys heard me talk about it. I was telling Rich, you know, I was really upset about my job transferring me back to the city. So getting transferred back, I had to start back there last Monday. So for the first week, they were going to, just to kind of shut me up for the first few months, they were going to say, we're going to let you do 2 days in a satellite office closer to your home. So, you know, it's like an Independence Blue Cross office, but we'll let you do it there 2 days a week for the first few months, just to kind of shut me up. So I didn't walk out and quit on them. So last week, they're like, well, we want you back in on Monday, and then you can do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, then work in the satellite office Thursday, Friday. Then I said, going forward, I want Monday and Friday. So that way, if it's a Sunday, I don't have to think all day about getting up early the next morning to make the longer travel. And then Friday, you can get a jump on the weekend. So this week, you know, I go into the satellite office on Monday morning. At 8 o'clock, I get in, I log in, I'm working. There's only like a dozen or 2 dozen people in there. At 9 o'clock, they start leaving. Where the hell are you people going? They said Independence Blue Cross, which is the parent company, is directing people to go home, work from home. And I'm like, the people, that's for the people in the city, not for the people in the suburbs. They said, the big company said, go home. We're going home. They're like, are you going home? I said, my company didn't tell me to do that yet. I'm already walking on eggshells because of my attitude. I'm 2 days from getting a bonus. So I ain't doing nothing to rock the boat. Mm-hmm. So then at 11 o'clock, my team has a conference call. And I dial into this conference call, and Tom, you're going to be proud of me. I managed to keep my mouth shut, which doesn't happen very often. I'm actually proud of myself. I wanted to give myself a gold medal. The first thing they were saying, they're like, you know, we're going to be shutting down operations in the office. We don't want people coming into the office, and I'm starting to bite my tongue. And then the first thing I wanted to say was, can I go back to my client where you, like, yanked me out like I was, like, in the womb? But I shut up. I didn't say a word. Then they're like, we want all employees working from home. And the words started coming out. Funny. 2 weeks ago, we don't want employees working from home anymore. Employees are not to work from home anymore. And I'm like, Tony, you are 48 hours from getting a bonus. You need to shut up. So I managed to shut up, and the rest of the week I have been from home, and, I'm working in my, jammies pretty much, my sweats and all that. And then Monday and Tuesday I went down to the gym, but since then I've trained at home,
Yeah, that was actually one of the recommendations on CNN this morning. They asked specifically, what about the gym? Do we have to worry about sweat and everything? And the doctor was like, well, primarily it's nose droplets and mouth droplets.
Yeah.
But you should wipe down the machinery every time, and it's best to have a home gym. And I'm like, score, because I just built one.
Yep.
But it was funny, because I watched your video the other day, and I noticed you got a pool. You got a pool table in your gym, Tony, and I have an actual pool, but it's full with some green shit.
17 years ago, and I have an air hockey table down there too.
Sweet.
But Tom, the other day, I was in one of my ornery moods, which for me is any day.
So a fucking demon took over.
And I drank a couple cups of Death Wish coffee, so I started getting really pumped up. And a little bit later, at the end of the workout, I was like, I had some bruising on my chest. Someone's like, how the hell did you do that? I'm like, well, before the last round, I pumped myself up, and I hit myself about 8 times. It was too hard. But we did some photos, and then my dad did a video in the 6th round. And, I went 10, felt pretty good. And then when it was over, I took a picture. I was in the mirror, and I was, sweating pretty good. And Rich is like, what demon had taken you over? And I put a picture of the Death Wish coffee logo with the skull and crossbones.
Yeah, I have a mug from them, too. I don't have that every day. I think that's for special occasions, but especially on the weekends. And then, did you ever get that, what's the other one, the Odin stuff? It comes in a package. It's like with the Death Wish. You can get, it's if you go to their webpage, it's like they offer that 1-2, where they've got the Death Wish coffee with the package of that, and then they do the I can't think of the name of it now. I'll have to check. Send you a link for it. But yeah, that's pretty good too. Right up there, a good 1-2 punch. Really get the day going.
Well, I'm taking all kinds of stuff. I haven't
started.
I haven't started my 714X, which is the ultimate immune booster. But I'm glad I waited now, because it's going to be the perfect time to bring attention to the kind of product that is, which is just an all-natural immune booster, and it provides your body with camphor, which carries nitrogen, which is very good for your blood and your other lymph system. It's just unbelievable stuff. I've written a lot about it. I wanted to write a book about it, and I've got a couple cycles of it, 21 days worth each. So that's like the after thing. But right now I'm working on a couple of products I'm doing reviews on. I just published one on the website about Healthy Mind. It's one of those nootropic things, Tom, we've talked about before. But it's also got the standard stuff, ginkgo biloba and that sort of thing. So I think that's pretty good stuff. It seems to be doing something good for me. And then
it's not like the movie Limitless. It's not going to do that. But what it will do is help your brain health. It'll cause more blood to go to your brain. Your brain can take in more oxygen. And it's just it's brain protection as well.
Right.
In addition to giving you a little bit of more focus.
And then I got this stuff that it literally cost $200 a bottle. I got 2 bottles.
Oh, wow.
And it's a tiny little dropper bottle, and it's called Stone Blood Shilajit. And the guy warns you before he even sends it to you that, you have to take it with something and have like a, when you take a shot of vodka or whatever, you have a chaser. You got to have a chaser for this stuff, and you're only taking 15 drops at a time. And I'm supposed to take 30 drops a day, twice a day, two doses of it. And it's like, if you ever had a gin and tonic and didn't like it, it's like you just add a boiled sock in there and just take the juice from the boiled sock. And that's kind of what it tastes like.
What are the benefits, Rich? What are the benefits?
Well, this is the interesting thing. This could actually revolutionize combat sports after the fact these guys get out of it. While they're in it, I'm even thinking of communicating with the brain research study out there in Nevada going on. That I know there's a lot of people that have been participating in, not only just fighters but bull riders. Basically, this guy that sent it to me, he just gave me a little bit of a pamphlet on it, and one of the major benefits is, the TAU deposits that they say are responsible for dementia and
Yes.
effects from boxing and concussions and all that, and the shit that was all over the brain of Chris Benoit. It's supposed to promote the healing of that issue. It just erases those. So, I mean, I don't know whether I can totally believe that, but it's, one of those ancient things that hardly anybody knows about, hardly anybody's mass producing it. And I mean, just the way it tastes, you just got to be like, well, it almost got a seaweed back flavor to it too. So it's like just all these minerals and elements from all over the world that are proven remedies in Ayurvedic culture, which is it's a whole different type of medicine, and based in India. So,
now, are you supposed to hold it under your tongue?
No, you just take it with a juice or water. You just put it right in the juice, and then you just make sure you swallow a bunch of shit so you don't puke it up.
That sounds awful.
It is. I mean, I'm still getting used to the taste, but I do think it has a definite benefit. I'm not doing backflips or anything, but I feel healthier. I am starting to run now and all that kind of stuff, but it's just definitely like, if I don't take it in the morning right away, I definitely feel a difference. That's where you really know it's doing something. So, yeah, and I haven't even been loyally taking double doses every day. It's just been at least taking one. And I haven't got through the first bottle. I got 2 bottles. But I think this guy's going to like my report on it anyway. And then there's...
Could you take an eyedropper and put it into a capsule? Would that work?
If you made it yourself, but I just don't know what the shelf life would be if you did that, and you put it in a bottle.
Well, no, I'm saying, okay, you have a bottle, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a bottle, so you get an eyedropper, and take it out as needed, and then fill up a capsule. Or do you say you just take a few drops of it?
Yeah, 15 drops. But I mean, it's so potent that it's, you can put it in a shot glass, or you can put it in a gallon jug of water, and it's going to taste the same.
Well, yeah, but...
So concentrated.
But here's my point. You put it into a capsule.
Yeah.
You can buy empty capsules. I buy them all the time for all the nootropics I do, all the racetams. I roll my own.
Yeah.
And central phenoxy and all that.
Well, hey, the way I look at it is it's my alcohol. I don't drink alcohol. So it's like having my shot. I got used to it.
I mean, I would think that you'd want to put it in. I mean, and then you just swallow it in a capsule. It dissolves.
I might try that. I don't know.
Benefits.
That's an interesting method. I'll suggest that in the article so that people, if they can't stand the taste, they have an alternative. Make sure it's
a lot of people
biodegradable.
I mean, a lot of people are wimps about that.
Yeah.
And I'm no big hero about it either. I mean, if it's that.
Well, especially because as a writer, you want to be able to just fully describe what you're doing and tasting and feeling. And it's like
taking one for the readers.
My first impression, the words that came to mind were, it was like a pine tree mixed with seaweed and a backwash of feet. So I couldn't get that thought out of my head. Once you get that thought in your head, you almost want to dry heave. But I'm not that type of person that does that. I mean, it would take some real nasty stuff to get me to start wanting to puke. I got a pretty tough stomach in that regard, but this stuff, I don't know. It's worth it. That's part of the suck it down and drive on and get ready to start your day. Part of it, you know it's good for you. So it's like when people swallow a shot glass with a raw egg in it. I've never done that, but some people do that for protein. But yeah. Hey, if it's working, I'm going to keep doing it. I don't know if I'm going to pay $200 for a bottle after this, but we'll see. I'll give you the full article.
Now, Rich, do you have all the ingredients in that bottle?
I have the pamphlet somewhere. It's not right in front of me, but I'm going to be doing a huge report on it.
You see, a lot of times in the supplement world, they have these stacks, where you get 15 pills in one. But you pay a hell of a price for that, and you can normally get these things individually for a lot cheaper.
Right.
So, does this guy have a webpage for this?
I don't know. StonebloodShilajit.com, I believe. It's SHILIJAT. If you just look it up on Google, Stone Blood, 2 different words.
Okay.
And then the third word is Shilajit, SHILIJAT. And it's Ayurvedic. That's pretty much what I've got memorized so far. He sent me like a whole little pamphlet with the stuff about TAU on it. But there are some academic articles. He actually asks me to go out and look at those and cite those and everything before I put my piece together. So it's not like he's trying to sell snake oil.
How did you find this stuff?
It's a website called Intellifluence. I'm capitalizing on the influencer situation out there. If you're famous and you can influence people, well, I got a website. I'm not making a whole lot of money off of it. So what this place mostly does is give you a little bit of money, like $5 here, $5 there for a post. And then they also give you free product to review things. So I've reviewed a couple things. Some just basic testosterone boosters and stuff that I did. I told you guys about. And they were all the only ones that I accepted were like the stuff that was all natural. Not stuff that was, like that progenics bullshit. Nothing like that. It was all natural stuff that was definitely more like free testosterone booster than overall testosterone booster. And it wasn't like...
So this guy sent you a couple $100 worth of this to review?
Yeah.
He wants you to pay for it?
No, I don't have to pay for it. It's totally free. It's because nobody knows about it, and there's not enough written about it, so he wants people to write about it. And so, when I read the part about the TAU, it was just like, the whole world needs to know about this, especially the boxing world, if this is true. You can't beat that. Nobody's talked about anything that's a cure for that condition. They just talk about, watch out for it. People have to have brain scans to look for it.
Yeah.
But if you can reverse that or prevent that or treat that, that would be just a major breakthrough. And, nobody ever wants to hear you can do that with a natural product. They always think, well, that's a conspiracy. You got to take 6 pharmaceuticals to do that. But there are things out there.
Send us the review when you're done. This is interesting.
Yeah, I'd never heard of anything like it. I heard of Ayurvedic medicine, and I actually saw the dude from CNN who's answering all the questions about coronavirus now, Sanjay Gupta there. He had a whole series on medicine, religion that he did, and Ayurvedic medicine was part of it, and I saw what they did to him. They poured a bunch of fucking oil on him. We're drawing pictures on his chest with shit, and I'm like, this is garbage. What is this? How is this helping? But, these people believe in it, and it's ancient, and it's, supposedly proven in these cultures that these things with natural ingredients and the way you apply it and certain areas of the body and everything like that, it's all interconnected. But that's, I think, the reason why they want you to do it, this stuff in a liquid too is it's the delivery method. They want us to saturate your stomach, and then instead of just being in a cluster, they want it to get into every liquid. Just like the way if you put it into a gallon of water, all that potency would be spread across the gallon of water. Like if you're eating things all day, that's digesting with all the liquid. So it's really expanding into your entire body. But it gets to your brain somehow, and it gets to your brain in a good way, according to this guy who wrote all the stuff about it. But I mean, I don't think there's those academic articles that he's asking me to look for, paid for by him or anything like that. This is something that he just took and put a brand name on. He said, all right, people are making this, I'm going to put a brand name on it, find a good way to make it pure. And I don't know a lot about the making process yet either, because I haven't done a shitload of research. But my girlfriend's always telling me, why are you putting all this shit in your body? You don't even know what it is. Like, hey, I guess I got a job. It's my job now. But yeah, I believe it. I definitely think it's doing something. But anyway, getting back on track. Coronavirus canceled everything that I know of, except for some boxing this weekend. There's one fight, according to BoxRec. I'm seeing friends, too, impacted by it. I got one friend that's, he's one of the tour, the guys that does the music tours. It's like a death metal group, or a bunch of them. He's like a roadie for. And he was like at the airport, ready to go, and they canceled the whole tour. So he's looking for work. I got another guy we had on the show a couple weeks ago. Reyes. You guys didn't get to talk to him again because I cut you off. But Michael Reyes, he's got a gym. So, they're telling everybody, don't go to the gym. You can have your own home gym. So I'm sure that's going to not be good for him. There's so many people that are going to be affected by this. But basically, BoxRec is saying there's one fight this weekend worth watching. Shakur Stevenson versus Miguel Mariaga. I've heard of Stevenson. I have not heard of Mariaga. Don't know the records offhand. But what we're going to talk about mostly in boxing this week, I think, is going to be two things. The next two fights coming up for Canelo Alvarez have pretty much been set in stone. There's going to be the Billy Joe Saunders fight. That's reality already. But they're already grooming Golovkin 3. Golovkin Alvarez 3. So that's pretty much set being slated right now for September, if the world does not self-implode here with this virus panic. And then last week, I watched more boxing than I did MMA for 1 week, believe it or not, because it was on free TV and there was no ESPN Plus or UFC Fight Pass involved. It was just straight up Fox TV, and it was a guy that I usually love to root for, and I wish I had bet on his opponent, Robert Helenius. And it's even, on BoxRec.
Yeah, how about that?
On BoxRec, there's like, on the results side, there's like 12 fights in a row where it's all wins, but the one loss is Adam Kovnowski. Now that I saw him lose, I can pronounce it correctly. Kovnowski. Just came out there against Helenius in his regular aggressive style. But I think he was just so much more sloppy because he's was fighting in front of a lot of people who were rooting for him, expecting him to win. This, that, and the other thing. He was the big favorite. And I understand he was a big, big betting favorite, too. So I don't know who bet on Helenius, but I bet they collected some good returns. But Helenius just stood there and took it. He was a little bit taller.
I think Helenius was a plus 500, and I think it was minus 900 at one point.
Yeah.
And, wow, what up?
So Helenius clubbed him down, hit him with some flush shots. It wasn't pretty. It was a very ugly fight overall. But I think the big lesson is what we went back to
It
on.
usually is an ugly fight.
the Wilder fight is just the total lack of defense on Kovnatski's part. He just thinks he can get away with waiting in there against no matter who it is and getting in close, making it ugly, and just spinning combinations together. But, the whole time when you leave your two hands out there with your face wide open, you're going to be susceptible to that lucky chip shot. And in this case, it was just, it wasn't even luck. It was just Kovnatski came out there with the total lack of a game plan, killer instincts, let it take over, and never thought about tactics, strategy, nothing. Just wanted to beat the hell out of the guy. And you can't do that if you can't survive the round.
One of our former guests, Forrest Petz, was telling me that there's more pressure to fight at home sometimes.
Yeah, that
really
too.
is. He preferred to fight on the road because you're so psyched up. I mean, every fighter's different, but I think it may have had something to do with it. Or maybe he just finally met his match, and his lack of defense caught him. His style caught up to him.
Yeah. Well.
And watching the like I've seen Kanafsky fight a couple times, and he is like that, and that's exactly how he is. He throws a lot of punches. He's a volume puncher. He's a pressure fighter. He's straight in. He is very offensive minded. But you're right. He is susceptible to counter punches. That was funny. I was watching the fight with my dad, and first few rounds, Kanafsky was doing what he normally does, and the fourth round, right before the stoppage, they were trading punches in the one corner, and that's when Kanafsky went down the first time, face first, on his hands and knees, and they ruled it a slip. And I said, "Yeah,
right, slip."
My dad goes, "That was not a slip. That was a punch." And I said, "Good, Dad. I think when he was throwing the right hand, he lost his footing." My dad goes, "No, a guy doesn't go down like that, not like that, without getting hit." And then shortly after, he got up, they ruled it a slip, they wiped the gloves off. That's when Helenius hit him with that right hand, and almost like a short hook jab. And that's what knocked him, flat on his back. And I said, "Holy shit!" And I was like, "Wow!" And then shortly after that, Helenius hit him with the barrage, and they stopped the fight. It was a appropriate stoppage. Then they showed the replays, and my dad was right. I was wrong. That was a short right hand on the chin in an exchange that knocked Kanafsky down, and he never recovered from it. And sometimes when you're a fighter like that, and he's been, bruised up a couple times in fights. He's been, hit with some shots. But when you're really hurt for the first time in your career, you see that a lot of guys don't know how to react to that. They don't know how to hold on. They don't know how to,
exactly.
Buy time or dance or get away or run if you have to. They do what brought them to the show, and that was wade back in. Perfect example. That he'd been down a few times prior to this, but go back to when Joe Frazier had his first loss against George Foreman. Frazier was clearly hurt. From those that first the first knockdown was a flash knockdown. The second knockdown was a little bit more solid, and then every time he got up, he waded back in like Joe Frazier waded back in. Maybe Joe could maybe bought a little bit of time, but that wasn't him. He really didn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Right. And then another example in Hearns Leonard first fight, when Tommy Hearns got hurt really for the first time in his career. And he reverted to boxing, but initially he just didn't seem to know how to hang on. And I mean, people here, wasn't that instinct? Well, when you're in there, sometimes it ain't, depending on what's going on in your brain after you absorb some shots. But, it was.
I did watch a little bit of your boy Joey DeVaco's fight, and I want to say, for the record now, I hope a lot of people hear this, because I just want to say, Brian Kenny, you're an asshole, because you don't give guys shit for winning 2 rounds and start calling out the scoring and act like you're the man just because you're an announcer. The guy went out there and fought a brutal fight against a guy that was taller than him, had way longer reach than him, and wouldn't come near fighting his type of game to make it interesting. You don't go in there and say, oh, he won 2 rounds? That was just classless.
Well, when you look at Sanchez, here's my question. why would Sanchez fight his fight? And Sanchez made it a boring fight, but using his length and his reach and his boxing skills and his movement, he made it a boring fight, but he made it a safe fight. Now, a safe fight might not get you future viewers, so there's a fine line you got to walk sometimes when you're a prospect. You want to get people attention. You want people to say, "I want to see this guy again." Like guys like up and coming Mike Tyson, people are like, "I want to see this guy again." Even more recently, you get some of these top prospects coming up, and they it's like, wow, they're like maybe a 4-rounder or a 6-rounder or an 8-rounder. But after those few rounds, and especially if it doesn't go the lasted so many rounds, at the end you're like, I want to see that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You fight to save fights,
So Sanchez, he fought the right fight, but he was a guy I'm like, if I never see him again, it's like, man, no big deal. And like I said, with Joey, Joey had those, deficiencies with the height and the reach and the length and all that. Joey's problems about that, I've said. And I've seen him fight in person a couple times. And his issue, especially when he fights a lot of times guys that are more technical boxers, he does not always let his hands go. Now, if you watch Joey and you don't know boxing, which, speaking with you guys are going to pick up on these things in 2 seconds. A normal person will not. My dad and I watched, like, the subtle head movements that he did and the defensive tactics. You can tell for a thick, brawny, thickly built guy that you would think is a brawler that he's actually a very good boxer. He's a very well-schooled boxer. The problem is he sometimes sits on his hands. He looks for the perfect punch. He looks for the counter punch. So if you're a shorter guy like me, and a lot of times what they would train me to do is saying, okay, Tone, you want to set up counter punches because guys, if they have a real tight defense, they're going to trouble you. So you might want to set up counter punches and roll off of them and counter or slip and counter, but you got to make sure they're punching for you to counter. So be aggressive. Force them to punch. By you stalking them, they have to punch. They punch, you slip, you counter. You block, you counter. Sometimes Joey, as he keeps too much of a distance, doesn't force the other guys to punch enough where he can counter effectively.
But, to defend Sanchez in that fight, Joey would be a tough guy to knock out. He really would. Because you're right. He looks like an uncouth, he looks like a Tank Abbott reincarnation.
He really
got Tank Abbott vibes looking at him, but he's anything but that. And he probably got a chin of concrete. I mean, he built like a tank. And just not an easy assignment to knock him out. I mean, yeah, people can say, well, why didn't he knock him out? Well, why don't you go in and try it? I mean, he's not, I don't know. You would know his background more than me. I never looked up his record, but he just seems like he really can take a good shot. And
it was 27-4 going into the fight. It's 20 wins, 7 losses, and 4 draws. And he'd only been stopped once in those 7 losses, and that was early in his career.
Yeah, and just add those little subtle tricks. He's well trained. I mean, so it just was not an easy. Wasn't the most exciting fight, that's for sure. But it's the old saying, it was what it was.
Yeah. Also, I just read something about Bob Arum is going to require no people in the stands for the fights this weekend. The one fight I mentioned, Shakur Stevenson. No people in the stands. So I was just thinking, geez, there's going to be some industries that are really going to clean up on this. First one, I think, is going to be the cleaning industry. They're going to get more money than anybody. Second one, the streaming industry for all these sports that are going to continue. Third one, toilet paper, obviously. Big toilet paper. They're going to make out. Purell, Lysol, 3M, even though they tell you not to use the masks. I'm sure there's a lot of people using them. Unreal. But yeah, makes me want to get into the cleaning business. Anyway, another boxing news too. Tom, you sent me that article about Tyson Fury, the Traveler background and all that.
Yeah, it's just when they talk, the article was, to me, went beyond Tyson Fury. It got into this legends thing, and that word is overused, but I think that they used it in a pretty good context. And normally that webpage has a lot of trash on it, but this I just thought was really defined that. I mean, who did you beat? Who did you overcome? What did you do? Why are people talking about you decades later?
Right. Exactly. Well, I haven't got a chance to read the whole thing yet, but I will. I just wanted to mention I got it. Tony, now, did you...
One thing I just wanted to bring up. Let me bring this up real quick.
Sure.
The fight, talking about doing the fights in an empty arena now, I don't know how, a few years ago they did baseball in an empty stadium one time because of riots down in Baltimore or something. I think it was in Camden Yards in Baltimore because all these crazy riots. But as a fighter, it's hard to fight in an empty arena. And a lot of times I feel for guys that are like, jerking the curtains at a card. Like you go to a big Atlantic City or a big, Las Vegas fight card, and these guys that are fighting like the first fight of the night, which is hours before the main event's going to start, and that's when the people really start walking in. So, these guys are walking in the ring to complete silence. They might have some family and friends there cheering them on. You might hear some, excitement, but it's usually not much. I remember the first fight I went to in Atlantic City 20-some years ago, and the guy, it was funny, that opened the card that night was a fighter named Nick Rupa, who ended up fighting Terry Norris a couple years later. And Nick Rupa, I just remembered him. He came into the ring, and this is the first real live boxing match that I was going to, and I'm like, it was like the crowd was like dead, and I'm like, I could almost hear like the gloves landing and stuff. So as a young kid, I was really interested. And then crazy, it was later, the main event that I was Michael Moore and Burt Cooper, which ended up being the fight of the year that year. And the electricity in that was so much different. I'm like, it went from like a completely, as I hate to say, sterile atmosphere to a completely electric atmosphere. And then years later, I was fighting at the U.S. Naval Academy, and I was fighting Rich's good friend Jesse Baum.
Fuck that guy.
And the way they had the card set up was the evening bout was Navy basically versus the world. It was a Navy fighter in each fight versus Lock Haven, Penn State, Army. Those were the big ones, Navy and Army. VMI might have been there. I don't remember. So the evening there was a lot of electricity because all these cadets were coming, to see the naval guys, their Navy, colleagues, their brothers, take on these intruders like Army, like Lock Haven, like Penn State, So there was a lot of excitement. The afternoon was 3 bouts that were non-Navy fighters. The main event of the 3-bout afternoon card was me and Jesse Bond. I was talking about it tonight. I walked to that ring, and I think there was 8 total spectators. My mom, my
yeah, that was like VMI.
Fields, his mom, his father helped in my corner, so he wasn't even a spectator. My dad was videoing, and I think 3 other people were there. And that fight was in complete silence. It felt like I wouldn't.
I never remembered what anybody was saying in the crowd anyway.
Because there was more excitement of a Philadelphia sparring session. I felt like I was fighting. I felt like I was training almost.
Yeah.
And it was a fight. It was.
I haven't seen the tape in forever.
What was crazy was the week before I was in Reno fighting Brian Kerr, having 5,000 people scream, I couldn't hear.
Yeah, I never had that experience. I think the biggest crowd I fought actually was the same thing, Jesse Bond, but it was in Kentucky. For some reason, we got to go to Kentucky, and I don't even remember where it was, but yeah, it was like one of the longest trips we took for the boxing, and I just had the most frustrating fight because he elbowed me. The ref took a point away, I think, because I retaliated, and I'm trying to tell him he's fighting dirty. The ref don't care, And it was like just because their uniforms were almost the same as Kentucky's uniforms, like the crowd was rooting for the Penn State guy at the same time, and it was only I didn't even think there was 500 people there. But the Nationals wasn't even really a big crowd. But VMI was the smallest crowd, definitely, that I fought in front of. Because there was literally like 10 people in the room. And my friend from Norwich was there screaming, Rich, Rich, Rich. And I don't remember any of that. I had to watch the tape to go, oh, geez, somebody was screaming. I never heard any of it. I just was totally focused.
How about the energy loss if you're on the walk-off bout? They used to have them at main event.
Yeah.
And think about that now. Now, that happened with Harry Arroyo, who had a version of the lightweight championship, but he was from Youngstown. And this is after a Boom Boom Mancini fight. I think it's when Mancini fought, I can't think now, but it was back when Mancini was just right there. I think he fought for one of the North American Championship belts, a Mexican fighter, can't remember now. But as soon as that fight was over, Arroyo, everyone started to leave. And that would be a weird energy, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I just kind of thought about that. That the opening bouts, there's hardly anyone there, but it may be even worse. It goes from a mob, and all of a sudden, wow, for you.
I hate to cross over to politics. I don't ever do that on this show, but Bernie, how's Bernie going to have his socialism if the media is telling everybody to be antisocial? It's going to be an uphill roll for him. I mean, he's already in the hole. But, I just thought that was kind of crazy, the way they're going to such great lengths.
But Bernie right now has been 2 knockdowns. The referee's telling him 1 more. That's it.
Yeah. If he don't survive.
Next Tuesday, knockdown number 3.
If he doesn't rip Biden's tongue out in the debate, he's done. That's his only option, I think. He's going to close up shop. He's probably worried about getting the damn virus himself, for Christ's sakes. He's probably the most susceptible with his heart issues. Joe, I don't know. Joe, too. Crazy.
Before things really went downhill, within the last 24 hours, I would say.
Yeah, it was like 10 minutes yesterday.
24 hours because
10 minutes yesterday totally changed the picture. It's like last night.
Yeah, really. And then oh my God, the NBA is getting canceled. What the hell? Then all my friends are texting each other because we're all going on this trip. But 4 of them have the same flight. 2 of them are flying out tomorrow. I'm flying out on Saturday, and then 4 other people are flying out on Sunday. And I'm like, and we're all going to meet at the game on Sunday. And I'm like, well, that's not happening now. And then everybody's talking last night. The first one was like, what do you think is going to happen out of Florida? And then I said something like, how do you shut the hell up right now? And I'm like, I'm just being, but, it looks like I'm talking to the one guy right now, and it's like, how to do this. But this was funny because, like I said, I've been working from home, and everybody in my company, with the exception of one department that has to be there, is working from home, and there's 4 people from my team that don't have remote access that have to come in. So, we've all been doing conference calls and group chat, instant messages. So our bonus was coming out yesterday, and so they're talking about the bonus, and hey, we're getting the bonus, and this and that, and then our regular bi-weekly pay is Friday, tomorrow. So basically, we're getting 2 paychecks this week. A couple $1,000 bonus, and then your normal paycheck. And someone said something, we're like, oh my God, and one guy, this kid Victor, a big boxing fan, by the way, we might, if the fight card still happens, meet at the one fight card in a few weeks. He's going to bring his wife, and, we're going to have a good time. And every time I'm in there, he always wants to talk fights with me. So we're sitting there talking, And he's like, I think I might, may take a trip down to Puerto Rico. And I said, you know what I'm going to do? People were like, what? I said, well, I don't want to sound like the opportunistic weasel of the group, but this was a perfect week to have 2 paychecks, because basically I got 2 deposits into my 401k and 2 company matches of 7% into my 401k.
Nice.
So I was like, wait, you a stockbroker? And I'm like, no, I'm just smart. Buy when it's low.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm imagining a lot of people are cashing out right now as soon as they can before shit goes south. And I know it doesn't have anything to do with stocks, but I had a life insurance policy that my dad got out for me. And it's worth like $53,000 if I die before 2038. So I was like, I'm going to cash this bitch out. And it's like $5,000 is what on paper it's worth to me right now. But I'm just like, I'm planning to live longer than 2038 anyway. So I don't feel bad.
It was funny, and this is how I learned this. Almost 20 years ago now. It's crazy as that sounds. Back around 2002, shortly after 9/11 happened, I was relatively new at my company. I'd been there for about 3 years at the time, but I didn't join their 401k plan until 2000, I think. 2000 or 2001. I think it was 2000 and joined it. So I joined the 401k plan in 2000, and it was a good match, and I was making some money, and things were going good, and I was putting so much in, they were matching it, and I was getting these quarterly reports, and things were going good. And then 9/11 happens, and things really were going down for a while. And I remember getting a statement in early 2002, my quarterly statement, and I looked and I said, in this last quarter, I put in, say, obviously it wasn't that much, so it wasn't making a lot of time, but say I put in $700, and the company matched, say, $400, so it was $1,100. But my statement before was to say $5,000, and I put in $1,100, and my ending balance was $4,000. I said, well, that doesn't make sense. I added $1,000 to $5,000, but I'm losing $1,000. And I said, I don't want to do this no more. I said, this is stupid. I'm losing money. I'm throwing money away. And he goes, and I talked about one guy in HR, and we're still friends. I still get tickets from him. And he goes, no, Tony. He goes, what you don't understand, he goes, if you can put in more now, you put in more. I said, why? That's stupid, Chuck. He goes, no. He goes, with everything going on right now, we just started a war. He goes, everything is really volatile, and things are down. So, because that's why when you bought high, and now the value is down, it doesn't mean you have less. It's just the value of what you bought at that time is not as much. If you can buy more now, value goes up again. If you put in $100 as paycheck,
buy low, sell high.
Each, you got 10 shares.
Yeah.
Exactly. He goes, you got 10 shares. If that ends up shooting up to $1,000, you just made like $10,000.
Yeah.
He's like, that's what you got to understand, and that made sense to me. And I have a friend of mine that comes into my house all the time. I grew up with him. He is an investment broker, and a lot of times we'll sit there and talk. And somebody was on there today bitching about this epidemic and how much the stocks have gone down. He goes, this is like, it just broke the 11-year bear market or something.
Yeah.
and you know what my friend said to me? And he's always said this to me. He goes, there's bear markets and there's bull markets, and you can make money in both of them.
Right.
He goes, bears can make money, bulls can make money, but pigs get slaughtered. So if you,
from Wall Street.
If you go too hard riding one market, and because nothing lasts forever, he goes, you become a pig, and pigs end up getting slaughtered. He goes, you got to know when to be a bear, when to be a bull.
Right. Well, turned into a stock advice show. Do we have any tax tips now, Tom? So we can make this a finance show? No, I'm just kidding. But we got some MMA to cover. Moving along. We definitely hope and pray, I guess, if you're religious, that the financial picture is all right for all our listeners, and the coronavirus doesn't kill everybody's career. But here's kind of a story, the transition story about healthcare. Carolina Kowalkiewicz, she says she might have to retire after having surgery on a broken eye following a fierce head kick by Xiaonan Yan on February 22nd. And this is one of those fights I missed, unfortunately, but I remember on the show talking about the results and going, geez, Kowalkiewicz lost? So now I understand why. It's just this crazy freak head kick. But she had a titanium plate inserted into her right eye. So she is literally part Terminator now. So I don't know if that's going to be a good or bad thing for getting back into fighting. That's a rough one. But yeah, she hopes it wasn't her last fight, but we'll be rooting for her. Good or bad, maybe she'll get a commentating job or something. Anyway, the big fights last weekend. Another injury was the main source of discussion, and you would expect it with the winner of the fight being Chinese, that it would all be about coronavirus and racist jokes about that, but it turned into the most memed fight in UFC history, I believe. Joanna Jędrzejczyk and Wali Zhang. It was a split decision loss for Jędrzejczyk, but hands down, from what I hear, I still have not been able to watch the whole thing. It was just the best fight a lot of people have ever seen in a long time. But Joanna Jędrzejczyk was beat up so badly, she looked like she was in costume at the end of the fight, like for Halloween. Like her forehead got dislocated and pushed up. And so many people in the MMA community decided to make fun of that a couple MMA fighters, females, had to come out and say, "Hey, lay off. That's too cruel."
She's the elephant man, the elephant woman.
Yeah. E.T. E.T. was my favorite. She was in the basket. I mean,
just the comments.
It was funny, but bad people. It's like, I get it. You're trying to, be humorous, but this is a woman's career. This is her health. Really not cool. Not cool at all.
Yeah, that was quite a setup for the main event, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then the main event was kind of a dud. That was memed a little bit too. One of my favorite memes there was when they were showing the two of them like bouncing back and forth and not hitting each other, and it says, when you're starting to get used to the buttons in the game. Because they're just throwing punches in the air and kicks in the air, and it's like, when you're trying to figure out what the controls do.
You can always say, I had Romero winning 3 rounds, and even with the melatonin rounds, I stayed away. I had him winning 3-2, but there is that, I've seen worse robberies, there is that old adage, you have to take it from the champ.
Right.
But I don't think Asanya did his cause any good with all this trash talk, how he's going to destroy this. I want to fight the best, and good for him. But he didn't seem like it. He fought smart, but again, we're right back on that old... Again, you're the one that wanted this, and for a letdown like that, no one really won.
Right.
I can see fault in both guys, but man, and just the contrast.
Yeah.
After that Hall of Fame fight.
We also had the Israeli guy there, Benil Dariush, getting a big win over Drakkar Klose. Knockout punch, second round, 1 minute in to that frame, and some punches, or a punch, according to Fox.
Sure. That was a good comeback. That was one hell of a comeback.
The only one I watched on this card was actually the one we made the most fun of prior to the show, the Sean O'Malley fight there, and he looked good. He looked a lot different because he had his all his braids and everything like that. And definitely looked like a different dude, but he just took no time to demolish Jose Alberto Quinones, and he was actually disappointed with himself that it wasn't smoother. It wasn't a quicker and more technical win. He thought it was a little too sloppy, which is good for his development. You want to be a perfectionist.
At least he had two good feet.
Yeah.
He had two good feet, and the opponent looked like a Neanderthal man. And look at the bad guy. Man, I've seen that look.
2 minutes and 2 seconds into the fight. See, he got his job done. And Alex Oliveira also got a split decision win over Max Griffin. Neil Magny beat Jiang Long Lee by unanimous decision. Mark O'Madsen got a win over Austin Hubbard by UD. And arm triangle choke ended it for Saparbek Safarov. Rodolfo Vieira securing the win there with just 2 seconds left in the first round. That's a tough one. Gerald, I should say, Mearshart over Duran win by rear naked choke. 2 minutes and 13 seconds into the third.
Yeah, that was a real grudge fight.
Yeah.
I guess there was an awful bad fight before that, but when they settled it in a good way, and that one could have went either way too.
Yeah. And we had a split decision again. Giga Chikadze over Jamal Emmers. Second fight of the night. And Dana Batjeral over Guido Canetti by knockout. 3 minutes and 1 seconds into the first round. Sorry. When I said that arm triangle choke came with 2 seconds left in the round, I was wrong. I was thinking boxing rounds. It was 2 minutes and 58 seconds into the first. So, yeah, I was like, wait a second, could this guy have 301? That's when you get your sports mixed up. So this weekend, we have Lee versus Oliveira. And it's in Brazil, which is also having some coronavirus issues. So I'm not sure what they're going to do about the crowd situation there. And actually, there's speculation now that there's possible contamination of the President of the United States because he shook hands with the President of Brazil in Mar-a-Lago. And the President of Brazil might be infected. So now they're saying, I love how Trump is just like, I'm not getting tested. I feel fine. It's like, maybe just as a precaution. But, the thing that makes me think why he doesn't care is probably what they're not telling us is when you become the president, they take pretty good care of your health to the point that they're probably giving you some vaccinations you never even heard of. You know what I mean? It's national security. But anyway, Kevin Lee versus Charles Oliveira in the main event. Another Oliveira. Charles is 28-8. Kevin Lee is 18-5, and both are pretty decent with their Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but Oliveira is really a specialist. So it's going to come down to whether Kevin Lee can stuff the takedown and keep it on the feet, I think, in this one, because Oliveira's weakness, if he has one even, he's still a pretty good striker, but his weakness against Kevin Lee would probably be if he got in a close-in brawl. He'd probably not do so well. He's more of a lanky, keep you at a distance type good striker, or get you to the ground and choke you out. But Kevin Lee, pretty much...
I really see this as a crossroads for both guys, though, because both guys have been close but no cigar.
Yeah.
They get to a certain point and then get knocked back. And then they're both great fighters. Don't get me wrong. The winners, right there in the top five for sure.
And this is not his real nickname, but the co-main event features Demian the Human Backpack Maya against Gilbert Burns. Demian 28-9. Gilbert 17-3, and if Oliveira is a jiu-jitsu specialist, Maya is a jiu-jitsu wizard. He knows every type of hold imaginable. He doesn't always choke people out, but he just doesn't let you do anything. He's on you like glue, and it's worked for him in a lot of scenarios. He had a big win streak going, but just some people have figured out his style enough to defeat it. They have his kryptonite. So we'll see if Gilbert Burns has figured it out or not. But this is a big fight for him. Big fight for Maya to show he can get back in the title hunt. So this is a good one for a fight night card. Also, Renato Carnero, 13-3-1 over, or not over, but against Damir Hadzovic, 13-5. And how could we forget? Johnny Walker is also on the card, 17-4, fighting Nikita Krylov, 26-7.
Be interesting to see how he comes back.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a hype train derailed.
Yeah.
He's got to come back. He's got to look good.
Yeah.
He's got to stop the clowning. Okay, we'll see.
Couple journeymen, button heads. Francisco Trinaldo, 24-7 against John McDessie, 17-6. That should be a sleeper fight tonight, I believe. Both guys love to brawl and have a lot of experience. And then we got Jussier Formiga, 23-6, fighting Brandon McLovin Moreno, who is 16-5-1. And both of those guys pretty talented fighters. And then Randa Marcos, 10-7-1, fighting Amanda Ribas, 8-1. And also, fifth fight of the night, Elizu Zaleski dos Santos, 21-6, fighting Alexei Kunchenko, who has 20 wins, 1 loss. A lot of people with some hefty records on this card, over 20 wins. Ronnie Yaya, he is 26-10, fighting Enrique Barzola, who's 16-5. And then we have the first 3 fights of the night. A female fight, 2 female fights in the mix. Marina Moroz, 9-3, against Mayra Bueno Silva, who is undefeated, 5-0. And we got second fight of the night, Bruno Silva, 10-4-2, against David Dvorak, who is 17-3. First fight of the night is Veronica Macedo against Bia Malecki. Macedo 6-3, Malecki 3-0. Then we go to Bellator 241. We haven't talked about Bellator in a couple weeks. We've been kind of neglecting the second fiddle promotion here. But by all accounts, they are the favorite among fighters as far as treating and the way they're treated and the way they're paid. Most of the and one championship is in the mix too. They're up there, but Bellator is doing pretty good. Going to Uncasville, Connecticut, to Mohegan Sun. And Connecticut is one of those states where there's not been a lot of reports on the virus at all. It's a very small state, but still. Maybe they won't cancel this. Patricio Freire versus Pedro Carvalho in the main event. Bellator 241. Friday the 13th. How could you not want to go to a fight on Friday the 13th? Daniel Weichel in the co-main event against Emmanuel Sanchez. Got to talk to Weichel for about 5 minutes back in the day when I was on all the lists to get the opportunities to interview Bellator fighters, and then it was like 3 fights in a row, or 3 fighters in a row. I had technical difficulties, so they stopped letting me do the interviews. Well, I'm sure I could convince them to get me back on there. But Daniel, we got to interview him for 5 minutes. It was a good clip, but yeah, would have been like to have a little more time with him. He's fighting Emmanuel Sanchez, 19-4. Weichel is 40-11. Talk about records. It's a lot of fights. And then, not to be denied, Paul Daly coming up next on the list. He's 42-17 with 2 draws, fighting Sabah Homasi, who is 13-8. So youth versus experience right there. Matt Mitrione back in action. The big heavyweight, Meathead, is literally his nickname. I'm not even making it up. Matt Meathead Mitrione, 13-7, fighting Ronnie Marks, who's 19-7. And probably Mitrione's best fight so far is the double knockdown against Fedor. This is one of the most crazy endings I've ever seen in Bellator. And then speaking of over 20 wins, Anatoly Tokov looking for number 30 in the win column. He's 29-2 going into this one against a guy named Fabio. Fabio Aguiar, 17-1. I guess that's probably what got him into fighting. People making fun of his first name. 17-1 though. That's nothing to sneeze at. Sorry for the Corona pun. Nick Newell, 16-3, fighting Zach Zane, 14-9, and this is another good feel-good story about Bellator. Nick is a fighter who has basically half an arm with a little bit of half a hand on it, and he uses it to be able to secure some of his chokes, but he can't really punch that well with it or anything. So he's definitely, on paper at a disadvantage, and he makes it an advantage sometimes for him, and other times just holds his own like you wouldn't believe. And for him to get back into the fighting picture after a couple years off, that's one of the good stories of the year. And I hope he really, makes a path for himself here in Bellator. I think he did lose his first fight, but he's 16-3. He's definitely had an awesome career, and he's going up against Zach Zane here, 14-9. Not a world beater, so let's hope he can get out there and get it done. I love seeing a story like that unfold, and guys proving that there's no such thing as a disability if you know how to handle yourself and push on. 10th fight of the night, Achilles Moda, 12-1, fighting Nate Andrews, 16-3. We got Leandro Higo, 19-5, fighting Johnny Campbell, who's 20-12. Leslie Smith, 11-8, with one draw, fighting Jesse Miele, who is 9-3. We got Robson Gracie Jr., another Gracie in the mix, 3-0, fighting Billy Goff, who is 2-2. Romero Cotton, 4-0 against Justin Sumter, 7-3. And we won't go through the whole list. We're all the way down to number 1. That is the main big fights coming up tomorrow night. I believe that whole thing is going to be on DAZN. But hopefully we'll get to see at least some of the preliminaries maybe. But I believe that's all we got for tonight, unless you guys got anything to chip in.
Well, Rich, I just tagged you in a comment from my financial advisor friend.
Okay. On Facebook?
You'll find it. Yeah, you'll find it humorous.
Boy, I mean, I couldn't have picked a better time to really get sunk into Facebook and my online presence and social media and all that, because, that's the one good thing about this everybody work from home thing. They're all going to be on Facebook all the time.
Yep.
It's getting more addicting by the day, too. Even if you see the same stuff over and over again, it's just like, you got to check it. You got to check it. You got to see what people are putting out there. So, yeah. But, yeah. Crazy stuff. I still don't see anything. You tagged me?
It should say I tagged you in a comment.
Huh.
My name is Rich Bergeron. You're in a picture of Paul Bunyan. Yeah.
Oh, I got 2 messages it shows, but I don't see anything from you tagging me. Might take a minute. Did you just do it?
9 minutes ago.
Oh. Weird. Is it on your page?
Well, here's what it is. My friend... No, so I tagged you in a comment on my friend's page. With his post. But he puts on there, he goes, Dow has worst day since 87. S&P, NASDAQ hit bear market. And I commented, I said, bears make money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he responded, he goes, Penny Pennycup. He goes, bulls make money, bears make money, pigs get slaughtered. So what did I just say?
Right. Yeah, I don't know why that sometimes doesn't show up. But anyway, till next week, folks. Protect yourselves at all times. To use a boxing pun. Stay indoors. Wash your face. No, wash your hands. Don't touch your face. That's the deal. And enjoy all the canceled events that you won't be able to see in person.
I don't know how I'm going to watch. Old episodes of Beavis and Butthead.
Renew your streaming subscriptions. You will need them.
Yeah.
good luck, Godspeed, and in all seriousness, you really got to watch out for the elderly. I don't care, most of us are athletic enough and in good shape enough that if we had to deal with a pneumonia, we get over it, A couple weeks we'll be fine. But some of these elderly people, I saw something on Facebook the other day about a couple cops that were visiting and doing a welfare check on an old lady who was always looking around and acting like she had dementia, because she probably did. Talking about, where are my sons? My son should be here. She didn't even have any food in the house. So these two cops went out and bought her a bunch of food and came back and made sure she was able to, put a plate together and eat it, and talked with her. And, she got two new friends. So you just got to look out for humanity in general. But it's kind of ironic they're telling you to be antisocial at the same time, because part of making sure that everybody gets through these things is to check on your neighbor. So it's kind of a catch-22 situation. But of all people, the elderly are the ones that are really at risk. So I hate to sound like one of those crazy experts out there.
But the way I look at it, 70 is the new 50.
Right? Oh, I've heard one person out there on the news actually say, "Oh, it's only affecting people over 80 as far as deaths." I was just like, "Really? Oh, that's a long way to go then."
Well, then again, 80's the new 60s. So so much depends how you take care of yourself, how your lifestyle is, what your mindset is, and the right supplements. There you go. And so we're going to learn from you now. Now, what does this review do?
Well, I'm figuring I'll write something when I finish the first bottle, and I'm about 3/4 of the way through the first bottle. And I already did the review on Healthy Mind. That was kind of a short one, but I'm going to do a YouTube review too on both of them. And then the other thing I'm taking is
let us know.
Stinging Nettle Root. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, I take that with. I have a stack that I take for prostate, and that's in there.
Yeah, I can't really tell if that's doing much, but you're not
supposed to. That's the good news. You get older, of course, you guys are younger, but when you get to that dreaded category, get all those old nanoflictions start to, and you don't want to know about them.
Yeah,
and that tells you it's doing the job.
Cool.
Just because you take something and you don't go to the moon doesn't mean it's not doing good. And then you take something that does make you blast off, maybe it's not doing so good,
Yeah, like energy drinks.
The dirty energy things. Good old meth and coke and even Adderall, that's a dirty energy. It's not doing you good.
Right. Yeah.
Red stuff's no good.
No good.
All right, guys. Let's enjoy what fights we can.
All right.
No audiences ought to be interested.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want you to televised.
I'll still let you guys know if I go on vacation.
All right, bud. Enjoy it. See you next week.
Yeah. Stay safe.